Okay, I've I've been studying psychology on a daily basis, and what I have found is just amazing. Where governments had taken people and put them into labs and uh, put diodes, electric diodes, into their brain, onto their brain, which there's laws against that. They've taken people that were totally sane and try to make them look like they're crazy. The big question is, who's the crazy people? The ones experimenting on them that manipulate, have no conscience, are persuading, get paid huge amounts of money because they have a doctor's degree in psychiatry and were hired by a certain government to make sure this happens. I mean, it's insanity. It's like, who are the crazy people? The patients being uh, I watched where patients were isolated and purposely driven crazy. Now, who's the crazy one? The doctors doing this or the patients? Now let's understand psychopathy. That's somebody that has no conscience, no feelings. They rage. They're aggressive. They've got an inner emptiness. Their amygdala in their brain never developed properly. Okay. If your amygdala in your brain doesn't develop properly, you become a psychopath. And I'm watching these videos from years back and I'm like, wow, who's the psychopath? The doctors, or it's not the patients. I watched one instance where a guy was totally sane. They isolated him, putting through basic electronic torture, the way I see it. And he was like a totally nice person, turned out to be raging and all that. And I'm studying this. I'm going back years and coming forward, and I'm like, wow, we're talking like an international crisis here. Where all these doctors got together, and it's like half of them, as far as I'm concerned, are psychopaths. Because if you're going to manipulate somebody and persuade them and have no conscience, like, oh, yeah, this is my job, and I get paid $500,000 from the government to say that this person's crazy, so I'll stick some electrodes into his brain. We'll monitor him and we'll do this and we'll do these studies and we'll just like, that's what they want to hear, so that's what we'll do. That right there is so crazy. Okay, whether it's political, propaganda, governmental, however you want to look at it, that's crazy. Okay, as it gets. And I'm watching all these videos. It's like, oh, here's how you detect a psychopath. They're all over our society. The latest information that I found out is, since your amygdala in your brain didn't develop properly, Or imagine your amygdala. Or your amygdala is supposed to be like yay big. Okay? The psychopath's amygdala in their brain is like that. It's a little pea brain. Imagine you're out in the field and like you picking some corn. If you're a farmer, this is a good analogy. Or some peas or whatever, and you're just like, wow, that kernel or that seed didn't come out right. Yeah. Well, that's what the psychopath's brain is. And his amygdala turned out to little pea-sized brain. Now, your amygdala has everything to do with your sensory, your perception, your feelings, the whole bit. The psychopath has no conscience. They're excellent on fakery, trickery, every little deceiving thing you can think about, they do. They will even tell you, I'm going to destroy you. They'll tell you that. And in most instances, they do. Apparently, 5 to 10 years from now, there's going to be a chip that can be put into the brain or on the side of your head. I don't know how it's going to come out. It's supposed to put a frequency out. And you're not going to be a psychopath. Huh. My whole thing on that is, I mean, I don't think a psychopath's going to be agreeable. It's like, well, now I'm going to operate on your brain and I'm going to put a chip on your amygdala and it's going to stimulate it. I don't think the psychopath's going to want to go through with that because they're so keen on doing their conniving and manipulating and destruction of you that they don't care. But I'm watching these videos of the government and it's talking about mind control and how they've taken these people and isolated them and given them all these psychoactive drugs, LSD, and everything you can think about. Good God, if you was to give one of those psychopathic doctors a drug like that, they would go crazy because a psychopath, you give them a psychoactive drug, they really are going to go crazy because their amygdala is not developed. And remember, the psychopath is, and I've seen this in a lot of psychopaths, and I've analyzed them. You look up Robert Hare. I think it's 20 question checklist. Look it up. Robert Hare, Richard Hare, I believe it's Robert Hare. He's a famous psychiatrist that has studied this for years. You know, once you know somebody that has failed that checklist, you are dealing with a damaging individual that could care less about you. Okay? If you had a whole plane full of cash and it was you and the psychopath would kill you. They would act like they're your best friend. They would kill you and take the cash. Okay? So, from what I've been researching, I'm like, wow. I can't believe what I'm watching. I'm watching scientists, psychiatrists, government And they got all these studies they're going to do. And I'm like, y'all are the fucking psychopaths. What is y'all's deal? They took one dude, like I said, he was totally sane. Did everything they could to drive him crazy. And there's psychiatrists on this video I was watching that were like, man, they couldn't believe it. There is no cure, pill, or treatment for the psychopath at this point. 5 or 10 years, like I said, there's going to be a chip. And they or we or whoever can operate on your brain. The question is when these people wake up, it's like, are they still going to be in the fakery, trickery, psychopathic brain? Is their amygdala going to be stimulated like they claim it's supposed to be? I doubt it. I don't know how you're going to take somebody's pea brain. I'm talking like a dead piece of kernel corn or pea or whatever. You've seen it in vegetables. No. And there's been all these studies. Oh, well, we'll stick an electrode in his brain, or we'll take part of his amygdala out, or we'll do this. None of them worked. None of them. Okay? Right. It's like I could sign up for the program. It's like, yeah, pay me $100 million or $1 billion or $2 billion, $3 billion, billions of dollars. And I might be able to come up with the cure for it, but I doubt it. These people are manipulative, could care less about you. They run governments, they're doctors, they're attorneys. They got no conscience. They could care less about you. They'll act like they care about you, but they don't. That's just their job. They make money that way. Now, that, if you just think about that right there, it's like, how sick is that? Think about it. So, I'm watching all these videos about how they experimented on all these people. And they experimented on those people because they got paid to do it. And we'll just record this and we'll record that. It's like, yeah, that person's sick. I'm like, who's the sick person? The one manipulating, controlling, coming up with false, experimental, diabolical, psychological experiment. Who's the guilty one? Think about it. Wow. All right. And then I started checking into all the frequencies. Which, by the way, there's no frequency for all you psychopaths out there listening to this. All you doctors that think you've got the answer. Scientists, governments. Right. There's no pill, treatment, or cure for y'all, the psychopaths. It's incredible what I have come across. A lot of you people are out there, you've been manipulated, terrorized, brainwashed. It's constant brainwashing with the psychopath. They have no conscience. They could care a lot less about you. They're going to continue on with their deception, their goal, whatever it is. They're going to continue on with it. And the thing about the psychopath is they have no feelings, no conscience, so they don't care. As long as they destroy you, they're good. Because, oh, they accomplished what they were supposed to. Right. Yeah. So it's insanity. There's frequencies out there. There is help for the people that have been abused. There's no help for all you psychopaths. All you doctors and scientists and government people and all that, you know, that's just what I do. That's my job. I have to do that. How psychopathic is that? There's no cure. There might be a chip in 5 to 10 years, but you know what? I doubt it. Because if you were a psychopath and you were manipulating people and destroying people and covering your ass up, and the government was like, oh, yeah, just continue on. We'll give you another couple $1,000,000 to keep researching this. No. I just cannot believe what I have watched and have learned. So our society is run by psychopaths. They destroy people, they manipulate people, they go through multiple marriages. They could care less about you, but oh God, I care about you and I'm so worried about you. They're not worried about you. All a psychopath cares about is death and money. That's what a psychopath cares about. They don't care about their children, their wife, or their husband, or their brother or sister, and they're always sitting there in rage, aggressiveness, and have this inner emptiness inside them. Oh, I just don't know why I'm just not feeling so good. Here, I'll take this pill and see what happens. I know of I've seen a psychopath that has had a whole box of pills. A whole box of pills. I'm talking like 12 by 12. A pill box with every freaking pill you can think about. It's like, if you're watching this, that's not going to cure you. Some of you people, or what I read or listened to, is that massive amounts of behavioral modification will slightly alter psychopathy, but it will not cure it. So you see all these people running and they're working out and, oh God, you know, I'm going to get better and I'm going to do this and that's not going to do, excuse my language, shit. Okay? All right, so let me end here, okay? All these government experiments and everything, they have done nothing. They've operated on people's brains. They've isolated them. They've thrown them in psych. I'm talking about people that are sane. That were manipulated, abused, treated like a piece of you know what, how can you possibly concentrate if you've been beaten on, abused, treated like you know what? How can you possibly even concentrate? If I was to beat on you every day, I came to wherever you were. Imagine if I was to beat on you every day, or I was to call you up every day and say, you're no good. You'll never be anybody. Oh, you argue with your parents. You fight with your brothers, your sisters, whatever, your cousin, whoever. If I was to do that to you every day, then eventually you would. You would eventually you would start thinking that or whatever. It's exactly what the psychopath wants to do. It's exactly from what I've analyzed is what these governments have done. You know, go get your medical degree, go become an attorney, which, by the way, if you're an attorney and you start calling somebody up and saying, are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? You need to call the CLUA, the Civil Liberties Union Association, and they'll sue the hell out of that attorney. It's not going to cost you anything. They're going to do it for free. Go online. www.clua.com. Your rights have been violated. Okay, which let's get to the rights part. There's laws on all this. All you lawyers out there, I hope you're watching this, because you're not allowed to do that. It's against the law, and you can get sued, and you can get disbarred from it for it. So I'm going to continue studying all this. I'm going to continue putting out the videos of the reality of the brain. And it's not sticking a bunch of diodes to somebody's head or going into their brain and cutting a part of their brain out. That's not the answer. Okay? What the answer is the majority of you doctors and scientists and government, y'all are the psychopaths. Y'all are the ones that have no feelings, could care less about, have no conscience. You're raging, you're aggressive, and you have an inner emptiness inside yourself. That's the definition of a psychopath. The psychopath will constantly push your buttons, and you'll never win. You'll never win. Okay? Your best bet with the psychopath is to go no contact. Now, I'm going to cut it short here today, but wow, what I have watched and have analyzed, it's incredible. And I study this on a daily basis. Okay? I'm going to give you an example, how are you going to spot the psychopath? Watch their eyes and how squinty they are. Almost Chinese or Japanese like. Watch their eyes. That's a real good sign of a psychopath. They're all squinty. Yeah. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, I've seen a lot of people like that. Yeah. And they're going to lie to you. They're going to look you straight in your face and lie to you. Could care less. They're going to put themselves in a bodily position. Like if you go to a restaurant, let's say you went to a restaurant and you were like in a line. Let's say you went to, we'll use a restaurant like Chipotle. And you're in a line there. And somebody coughing, coughing, excessively coughing, or putting themselves in a position. Doing different, you'll know it. What will happen is you'll have this weird feeling. It's like, wow, this person, I'm getting bad vibes from this person. And you're going to get bad vibes because they put off like a bad, I don't know if it's a neurochemical or some type of wave or something. They put a vibe out that's just sickening. Okay, you'll know it. That's a psychopath. The psychopath will hate it if you wear glasses like I have on, maybe a weird hat or something, and you come up to us, they'll hate that because they can't figure you out because they're trying to manipulate you. They live a whole life of lies. Their whole life is one big lie. They'll lie about this, they'll lie about that, they'll manipulate you on this, and then after they destroy you, in the beginning they'll act like they'll love bomb you. They'll act like, oh, you're the greatest and I love you, and and oh, we can be a couple and all that. Bullshit. Psychopath doesn't care about you. All the psychopath cares about is what are they getting out of you. Which if you look at it, it's like, I don't want anybody getting anything out of me. I just want somebody that's got some feelings, cares about somebody. No, psychopath does not care about you. There's people that go through marriages for 30 or 40 years to find out that I was married to a psychopath that destroyed me, could care less about our kids. All he or she cared about was going to work and doing whatever the H they could do. And wait a minute, let's go back to the pill thing. The psychopath is always trying to find that pill or that drug or whatever it is to make them feel good, but that's never going to happen. Because your amygdala and your brain never developed properly. Or their brain never developed properly. In the amygdala, when sometime you're in the pre-stage adolescence, you never go through what's called the trauma stage. The psychopath doesn't go through the trauma stage, and then their amygdala, like that little pea brain, doesn't develop properly. Yeah. And wow, all these government studies and everything. And it's like, wow, it's like, millions and billions of dollars. It took all y'all that, it was taking me to figure this out. And then the mind control was the big thing. We're going to control everybody's mind and send all these frequencies out. There's a frequency that goes all the way from London, I believe it is. There's an actual building. Comes all the way to America. It's an actual frequency that goes through your brain that causes tinnitus, depression, anxiety. It was crazy what I was reading about or watching. It's an actual building that they send this frequency out that goes around the world. And I'm like, wow, talk about mind control. And so a friend of mine's like, oh God, I've got, this is happening. That man, I said, put some earplugs in. There's frequencies. You could have tendonitis, or that could be causing depression or something like that. And just wear some earplugs and then let me know. God, he called me back and said, you were right. I put the earplugs in and it went away. I said, look up this video right here talking about this building that puts this frequency out around the world. Messes with everyone. I'm talking about around the world. Messes with your brain. Causes depression, anxiety, tendonitis. We can't hear. Y'all dizzy. Can't think straight. Yeah. Get on YouTube. And I'm not promoting YouTube, but I'm a YouTuber. Get on YouTube and start researching the frequencies. All you people that are psychopaths, that you have a pea brain amygdala, there's no treatment or pill for you. So I don't know what to tell you at this point. I'm starting to think that they don't want the chip to come out. Because if I was to put a chip in your brain, or a doctor was to put a chip on the side of your head or something, and all of a sudden you could think straight and be a genius or whatever, they wouldn't like that. You're too smart. Yeah. So there's like people that are like in institutions and stuff. It's like they shouldn't be there. Some psychopath idiot, mother, father, brother, sister, who knows, tormented this person, manipulated them, treated them like a you-know-what. They'll tell you, the psychopath will tell you, I don't care. How many times have you heard the psychopath say, I don't care? And it's not narcissistic, sociopathic. It's empathetic, which is somebody that has feelings, and psychopathic. Either one or the two, okay? The narcissistic, sociopathic, that was years back. Once they proved that the amygdala doesn't develop properly, I'm like, forget that, dude. You're either empathetic or psychopathic. You're one of the two. Okay? So, all right. All you doctors and scientists, go figure that one out. Okay? And it's just insanity what I've learned. I'm hoping to help a lot of people here stay away from the psychopath. Just stay away from them. Your best bet is to go no contact. Watch all the videos on what is a psychopath. Watch them. And you'll start realizing that the video I just got through watching about the governments and all this and how they did all this testing and still are. There's people that are vegetables that were sane, that are sitting there in an institution dumbfounded. That's what the psychopath, that's where they want you. Long as they can manipulate you and control you and get all the damn money they can out of you, oh God. Their trigger in their brain is not, they're not tripping their trigger unless you give them a reaction or something that, oh, they want, oh God, they love that. Because they got a reaction out of you. Yeah. Oh yeah. And all the studies that I watched and everything, I'm like, wow, how stupid is this? They put electrodes on people's brains. They put electrodes into people. There's all these doctors that are talking about, oh yeah, I got paid all this to do this. It's like, yeah, you got paid a lot of money to basically destroy somebody because you're a psychopath. You have no feelings. You got your doctor's degree. Wow, you're somebody, right? No, you're not. You're a psychopath. We'll give them a pill. That'll cure it. There's no pill or cure or treatment. Okay? Oh, well, something's wrong with him. Could you just give him a pill and sedate him? And then everything will be answered. That's abuse. That's total abuse. If you're watching this and you're being manipulated, persuaded, abused, tormented, you can't think straight, your life's been horrible because you were raised by somebody or a family that didn't care about you and said, oh, that's just how it's going to be. That's not how it's going to be. You need to run. You need to go no contact. If you have to, if you're being abused and beaten, and you need to call the police and have them arrested. A lot of these psychopaths think they can go along and just beat their brother, sister, or their father. They think they could just beat you up and get away with it. You need to call the police. And then you need to call the mental health people and say, look, I'm being beaten up, I'm being abused. They'll tell you, oh, what's wrong with you? It's like, there's nothing wrong with me. Quit calling me. You're harassing me. Because that's all they care about. As long as they can trip your trigger, they're getting off. And wow, go on to the YouTube and start watching all these videos. Watch the videos. Look up psychology. Look up psychopathy. Okay? And you'll start seeing how all these people are so deceptive. They'll tell you, oh, you're a psychopath, when they are. They're the ones driving the Mercedes, the BMW, the grandiose car, living in the grandiose house, manipulating, have had multiple marriages, could care less about anybody, will accuse you of things you haven't done, will even try to set you up, will call an attorney and say, oh, I'm all worried about him or her. And that attorney that might call you, which will be a flying monkey where they get all the information and then call you up and get all the information and then report back, that's a psychopath. You're dealing with a psychopathic attorney. Right. They live a superficial life and they'll tell you, oh, well, just live a superficial life. No, you need to be living a reality life. Not their superficial life, your life. If you're at ground zero and you're going, what am I going to do? Oh my God. And they got you in some kind of trauma bond. And we'll just go into that. Trauma bond. They got you believing that, oh, I love you and all this. They don't love you. They could care less about you. When you die, they'll be like, oh yeah, well, he or she was all addicted to drugs and he or she was an alcoholic. They drove you to that. Start living the good life. Okay, if you're at that point, it's like, oh God, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this marriage? How am I going to do this? You need to start planning and you need to run. Okay? But after watching all this, and we're talking governments, countries, some countries are psychopathic. Right, there is no place where you can go and right and get help or whatever. Call the right. If you're in that situation, you need to definitely run. Going no contact is the best thing you can do. And these people are so weak. A majority of them get arrested. They commit crimes. They'll tell you this, that, the other. It's all a lie. Oh, go ahead, call the police. Go ahead, do this. You need to call the police and tell them what's going on. And you know what the police are going to tell you? Yeah, well, just call us and let us know, and we'll come arrest them. Because they're going to assault you. They're going to verbally tell you that you're no good. They're going to try to break you down. If I was to put you in a room and not let you out, eventually you're going to go crazy, okay? Unless you got like a really, really strong mind and totally understand what's going on. They're going to break you down. Eventually you won't be able to think straight, which probably about 75 to 85% of y'all, maybe 100% of y'all, as you're watching this, you probably can't think straight. Yeah. So, I hope I've helped some people here, but I just cannot believe what I have learned on all this. I just cannot believe it. But that's another thing. You have to believe it. It's not unbelievable. It's all truth. The amygdala in the brain does not develop properly. That's sometime between the early stages of childhood up to adolescence. And then these people don't go through the trauma stage, and then they become psychopaths. And for the rest of their lives, that's how they are and are going to be. It's a no-win situation. They've got every answer for everything until they get arrested and thrown in jail. It's like, well, you're a jailbird now. And then they crack. They'll go out and have false companies. They'll lie on their real estate application license. Have you ever been arrested? Yes or no? They'll say no, but they've been arrested before. And then they run a fake company. And look at all the people under there. Destroyed. Eventually, when the FBI or somebody shows up and arrests them, it's like, yeah, well, your real estate broker's license is going to be revoked too. Because you were working under a fraudulent company. Or you were working for an attorney that lied on his bar application because he was arrested in Mexico or somewhere. But right, they couldn't get the information, so when he applied for his application in the United States, he passed. Oh yeah. Very deceptive, conniving, could look you straight in the eye and lie right, call you up on the phone, ask you all their questions, and in reality, they're the fraud. They're the felon. They're the ones. Yeah. Oh yeah. I hope I've helped some people. Get on YouTube and start watching all this and start realizing 1 out of 25 in business are supposed to be psychopaths. 1 out of 100 in society. No. It's like 50-50. It's like it's like 12 and a half out of 25 and 50 out of 100. I don't know where they came up with those stats, but I'm analyzing people. And there's all sorts of ways that you can detect a psychopath. Get online, start watching the videos. If you're in a destructive relationship, you need to run. Plan your exit, move, and do not contact them ever again.